Hello, my name is Loretta Hayes, and I am from Hayes Sewing Machine Company in Wilmington, Delaware. And welcome back to our creative videos. So today we are going to do a super cute pattern called Cat City from Villa Rosa. And so it is 20 cats in rows, and there is both a right-facing and a left-facing cat. So we'll show you how to do that. So if you want to swing around, Pam, So you want to have, there are 20 cats, and you want to have 10 that are facing towards the right and 10 that are facing towards the left. And really how the change in whether it is a left-facing or right-facing cat is on the very first step. So we are going to start by creating the back of the cat. So we need a blue rectangle for our background, and we need the color of our cat. And so if we are doing opposite facing cats, so you'll see this one here, we're going to take it and we're going to lay the background fabric out first and then lay our cat fabric on top. And we're going to be sewing from this angle to this angle. And you can sew straight across if you sew very straight, or you can take and you can draw a line from the corner here to the corner there. So we can do either one. All right. So let's go ahead and actually show you doing the corner drawing. So we'll go like that. And then our opposite facing cat is going to be going this way. So 10 that look like this and 10 that look like that. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to start stitching. When you're stitching, you probably want for this seam to have either your regular presser foot on, or in the case of me, I've got my 37 1/4 inch foot, but without a guide. A guide is going to tend to want to drag on the fabric and distort it. So off we go. Need to just tell it what foot we've got. There we go. Now we're cooking. So off we go. We're stitching down our line. And of course you can do them where you're fast piecing them. So sew from one side, one to the next. And you are going to create 10 units that look like that and 10 units that look like this. Now, once we have that done, we're simply going to come in and we're going to trim off the excess corner. So we're trimming approximately 1/4 inch. What's nice is it really doesn't have to be perfect. A pair of scissors is just fine. You can put your rotary cutter down as well. And then we're going to hop over and we're going to press our backing.
Do you press towards the cat body?
Or
just the
I
dark?
press towards the dark. So in this case, I'm kind of pressing towards the background each time. And so we have the back end of 2 cats.
Got it.
All right. So our next thing that we need to do is we need to create the kitty's ears.
Oh, you can't have a kitty without ears.
No, we can't have kitties without the ears. So we're going to take a rectangle of background and a square for each ear, and we're going to place them on the end of the background.
Can you just leave that there for just
Yes,
a second?
absolutely. And we'll draw a line so everybody can see where we're sewing again.
Okay.
So what we'll be doing is we'll be coming in and stitching like this. So one going one direction and one going the other.
Got it.
Okay, and so we'll come along and stitch. And this one, I have to say, you're doing 20 cats, so you're doing 40 ears. And sometimes you'll get your corners, so just hop up a little closer. I didn't draw my lines when I was doing the rest of the sample because it was such a short little piece to do. And here we go this way. So I chose these two particular cats because one of them has kind of an all-over design. And the next one, the other one, has stripes. So stripes, for the rest of the cat, not a big deal, but for the ears, very important.
You don't want
Ask
them
me how I know.
Hmm.
So, if you're doing a striped cat and your stripes are going up and down, when you place the ears, the stripes must be going side to side. Okay, so going this direction.
Okay.
Because when we sew it and flip it down, then our stripes are going the right direction. Because I couldn't have the stripes going opposite direction for obvious reasons. So we'll stitch to the corner. And we will stitch to the corner. Okey-doke. All right, so we have our ear units, and we're going to essentially do what we did for the kitty's back. We're going to come in, and we're going to trim away the corner. And once again, approximately 1/4 of an inch. And we will then press our ears into place. And we now have our kitty ears. So the ears are going to be like that, and the ears are going to be like that, going along there. All right, so all that's left to make our kitties is to take and put the body in, the main part of the body. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take the ears and we're going to place the ears on top. And it's important that the majority of the ear triangle is touching the rectangle because we don't want disembodied ears going this way. So make sure that
they're connected.
The fabrics that match, make sure they're where you're sewing the seam. And so off we go. And we sew across there. And we'll grab our second one. And you'll see now that the stripes in the ears
are going
matching.
the same direction.
Yes, they're matching. We don't want a kitty that looks like his hair is flying up. All right, and we'll go ahead and press these towards the body. Get the appropriate kitty with the appropriate kitty, and we're going to join the two rectangles.
Any seams to match?
There are no seams to match. In fact, there is very few points to match on this quilt at all. When we put the little kitty's body together, when we put the two kitties together, we'll have a point there, and then just where the ears are. French to seam. Shouldn't be any problem. All right, and the big press and the big ta-da. All right, so I am doing the third row of my quilt. And so on the third row, it starts with 2 kitties together.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And so the question of the day is, which ones are we going to do? Yeah. Kind of done. There you go. All right. So that one, I just want to make sure that I'm not going to get too close to what we're doing over there. And we'll come in. I think actually we'll do this. How about we stick that one in there?
Oh, a little polka dot.
Yeah, a little polka dotty kitty. And so we'll do that, and then we'll do a pair going here. And then we'll put one on the end. So can you swing up here? So you'll see the first row starts out with 2 kitties, so a pair, and then a single.
Mm-hmm.
The second row is going to start out with a single, then a pair and a pair. The third row is going to have a pair together, and then the single on the end, and then the fourth row will
alternates.
be the opposite. Yes, exactly. All right, so let's go ahead and stack our kitties and start stitching them together. So the first one, we really don't have any major points to keep in mind. The ears will kind of naturally come together, so that isn't usually too much of an issue. All right, first pair together. Now we're going to come in and we're going to join the next pair. So the next pair, this is where we have a little point that we would like to get straight. So you could clip it, you could pin it, you could quilt tack it, whatever it takes to get it looking nice. So I'm just going to throw a quick little quilt tack in there. And so our goal being that the kitties are pretty close. So my quilt tack is not dead on. And I could leave it. I don't think it would make a huge difference in this particular. But I think we've established that.
She likes her kitties lined up.
Yes. I can't catch a thread. Let's pull this. There we go. Let's try that one more time. And what's interesting about this point is unless you're really deliberate about your pressing and have some sort of organized diagram, the seam allowances quite often are going to be going the same direction. So you don't have that nestle that you normally have on, say, like a 4-patch or that kind of thing. Oh, so much better. Like that one so much better. Okay, so we'll go ahead. We'll line up for our seam. Stitch right through our quilt tack. All right, our next kitty doesn't really have any points to line up. And then our final kitty is going to have that one point where the 2 kitties connect. So very little line up.
No, it actually isn't bad considering all the angles you have.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, so I like that one. Now, when you go to press your kitties, the designer did a beautiful job making it so that we're not going to be connecting up rows of kitties, like there's no points to line up. So really just kind of pick the direction, like I'm going to press them all going this way just because I've got kind of a darker kitty here.
Got it.
On there. So we'll give those a quick press. Sing the Jeopardy song.
Da, na, 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 na. I probably have to pay royalties.
Yeah, probably. All right, so we now have our row of kitties done. We need to add some background on both ends. So they have you cut a really skinny 1.5 inch in width rectangle. And we're going to come in and we're going to add that to both ends. What I thought was super nice about this pattern is for very simple shapes, it makes a very interesting kitty. I mean, I've done kitty patterns where, you know, you might have 24 pieces to create the shape of the cat. And in reality, we have 4 pieces that shape the cat, which I thought was really nice. And I did, well, we'll say somewhat realistic colors.
Yes, I would say somewhat realistic.
We had a lady in the store yesterday who was looking at the same pattern and getting fabric for it, and she was doing it for a little girl, and she was doing the brightest rainbow colors with the snazziest prints you could ever imagine.
Yeah, can you see that? I don't see many kitties that have stripes to them.
Or purple.
Or purple. So yeah,
But
you can do whatever you like.
This lady's quilt is going to be so sweet. But we're talking like orange and, you know, because there are ginger cats, but we're talking like bright orange and pencil yellow and royal blue, that kind of thing. All right, so we are now done with the piecing of the row. So now what we need to do is we need to get the separations in. So the kitties are going to be sitting on a shelf. So we're going to take our strip, and as per the directions, we're going to take the strip and we're not cutting it to length. So I have a little bit of salvage here. We're going to make sure that salvage is out of the way, because we'll trim that off, and we'll go ahead and we'll line that up, and we're just going to sew that strip to the bottom. And because of that, that's the reason why there's no points between rows, which is just so fabulous. It's so fast and fun to do quilts like that. So we'll give a quick press, and this one obviously we're going to go towards the brown of the shelf because it is predominantly darker. So that's looking really, really nice. And then the last strip that we need to do is going to be our background strip. And that's going to go over top of the ears. Now, what I did for the strip for the background is I put the strip down to the feed dog and flipped it around so that I'm looking at the ears, which is not the normal way that I would sew a strip on. But in doing so, it allows me to see where the tips of the ears are. This one's not going to be a really good example of that, so let me just kind of swing along in here. So you can see on this next coming ear, there is kind of a crisscross of threads, and that where those seams cross is the tip of the ear. So by sewing in this direction, I'm not de-tipping any of the ears. Yeah.
That sounds sad.
Yeah, it is. So we'll come along. But it is kind of a little strange when you're sewing because you're so used to having the bigger piece on the bottom and the skinny strip on top. Might have to knock it down from the Mach 2 with your hair on fire when you're sewing.
Oh, if you insist.
All right, so I'm going to do a quick press on that blue and we will clip it and our row will be complete. All right, so we're going to go to the cutting board now. And we're going to lay our ruler down and just line it up with the edge of that blue and take the top background piece and the bottom shelf, and then we will flip it around and go ahead and do the same on the other. So you can see those salvage edges that we had, they are being removed, so we don't need to worry that those are in the quilt. All right, so now it's just a case of taking and adding the kitties together. So this is my third row, so we're going to just go ahead and add the third and the fourth row together. And what I like to do is I like to grab a hold of it and just do a quick check to make sure that they're roughly the same size.
Okay.
So on mine, you can see I have a tiny little 1/4 inch piece that is a little longer on the brown section here. So using the rule to always sew with the big bottom, we're going to put that brown down. And the magic of sewing, by the time we get to the end, that's going to line up. So we'll line up 6 inches. Line up the next 6 inches. Line up the next 6 inches. Now when I get to, let's say about 18 inches from the end, I'm going to grab a hold of the 2 pieces of fabric, both the frame strip and the shelf strip, and I'm going to start gently holding back on it in the front. So I'm not yanking on it, but I'm just kind of holding the fabric taut. And what that does is over an 18-inch piece, it's going to ease in that 1/4 of an inch difference. And when we come to the end, we're going to line up perfectly.
There you go.
All right, so we want to do a quick press. And once again, we're going to press towards the brown because that's the darkest. So oftentimes, particularly with beginners, if they are a 1/4 of an inch off, the urge is to
Take it all apart.
yeah, or start with the rotary cutter and start taking taking pieces off the end. And in reality, it's not necessary. All right, so we have one more seam for the main body of the quilt. And so this is my row 2 and 3, so we would like to put that up at the top. And once again, I'm going to grab a hold of both ends, make sure, like this one's lining it perfectly, so this one doesn't really make any difference. Press this one, once again to the brown, go into the darker side. Maybe we can swing around to the table now.
Yep.
So at this point,
That's a plethora of kitties.
yes, it is. All 20 of them. Cat City, right?
Cat
Just like
City.
the pattern is. So we could be finished on this quilt. If I was doing, say, a wall hanging kind of thing, we could be finished on this quilt and just layer it up and quilt it and put a binding on it. The pattern also calls for a border. So this might be a nice place to give little pop of color. I love this kind of beautiful green with the little paw prints.
Aw.
I asked Stephanie whether it was a little too, I don't know what you want to say, little too cutesy. But she said it wasn't, so we're going to go with the green border. So we will sew 2 long sides of the green border on the side, and then we will go ahead and put the green on the lower part and the upper part. And then we will have a complete quilt. So I hope you enjoyed this quilt. It was a lot of fun to piece, and we'll see you next time.